Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
The topic is addiction, and we're going to be talking to Edgewood staff member and author Lorelie Rozzano today on Go Island. Today on Go Island, a Parksville City Councilor shares her enthusiasm for local politics and exploring dolls made of natural material. That and more today on Go. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV. We're here at Edgewood Treatment Facility in Nanaimo. I'm going to be talking with author Lorelie Rozzano about her book, Jagged Little Lies. But first, it's time to throw things over to Annette Lucas, who has a story about people finding passion for running for City Council. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV. We're here today at Edgewood Treatment Center in Nanaimo. I'm here with Lorelie Rozzano, who is the author of this book. It's all about addiction, but we're going to find out a little bit more about this book a little bit later on. You're also an employee here at Edgewood, and you said something that resonated with me, was that addiction is not about alcohol or drugs.
Yeah.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, alcohol and drugs is the end result of addiction. Alcohol and drugs is the solution to someone with addiction. But addiction is about the way you think and feel and behave. That's really what addiction's about.
And I know you had said that it takes a while before you end up, like those are just kind of the Band-Aids, so to speak, as to what's going on. And I know people would be kind of hard pressed to find somebody that hasn't been touched in one way, shape, or form by addiction. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to that from an employee point of view here?
Well, absolutely. Especially in 2014, addiction is growing in leaps and bounds if you look at internet addiction and cell phone addiction. And we've got all sorts of kinds, eating and pornography and gambling and sex and alcohol and drugs and relational. There's so many addictions these days. But really addiction is about, there's something missing. Something is missing inside, and I'm using something outside of myself to fill that spot, and it's a temporary fix and it feels better. However, in the long run, it just creates a lot more damage. So that's really a better explanation than addiction. So many people get caught thinking, well, I only drank 6 beers once a week. But what happens when you drink those 6 beers once a week, right? And why is it you need them? So there's far bigger questions when it comes to addiction than, how many beers you have.
I know this book you've written, this is book number 3 about addiction as a topic.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk to you a little bit more about kind of your inspiration behind this and how it affects everybody, because I know it's not just the addict.
Oh, absolutely. They're probably one of the least affected, actually.
So we're going to find out a little bit more about this book and about everything here at Edgewood after this short break. Still ahead on Go Island, a tea known as the beverage with magical powers. And we're going to introduce you to a great dog looking for a home at Nanaimo SPCA.
Did you know that grief is a 100% natural process? Something that people shy away from and feel that we shouldn't get upset about. But actually, it's a great thing to get upset about. It's a healthy process. We should remember the people who've died. We should talk about them. It's old-fashioned to think that we shouldn't do that now.
You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV. We're here at Edgewood Treatment Facility with author Lorelie Rozzano. This is her book, Jagged Little Lies, second in the Jagged series. There was Jagged Little Edges. We're going to talk a little bit about your inspiration for the book, but I know this is all about addiction. You're hoping families can relate to the different characters of this, and family is a big part of the whole picture. What can you tell us about what the family goes through?
Family is a huge part of the picture. I mean, and this book is all about what the families go through. So what families go through is they get to deal with the reality of the addict or the alcoholic's behavior. So they get to deal with the sleepless nights, they get to deal with the anxiety, they get to deal with the shame, they get to deal with the worry, they get to deal with the anger and walking on eggshells, they get to deal with wondering if it's something they did, and they get to do that sober.
And yeah, that's exactly. You don't get to run away in the addiction. No. And then, if the addict chooses to just keep doing this, what really can the family do?
The family can do a ton. This is where I want families to know you have the power. You know, addiction, family disease is like this. It's when I attach my well-being to how you're doing. So if you're doing terribly and I'm doing terribly, I'm going to make it my job to make sure you're doing well. That's what happens with family illness. My emotional well-being becomes attached to your behavior. So the very first thing I need to do is to stop trying to get you well, take my eyes off you and put them back on me. I need 5 minutes with me, and I need to reach out of this family system because our system is ill. It's unhealthy. It doesn't work. We can't keep using this system, and we don't know another one. So I need to go find another system that works and say, look, I need some help here, and start listening and doing some of the suggestions with that system so that I can come into this family system that is really unhealthy and start making the changes I need to make. Sometimes those are really tough changes.
I know you guys have a family program here that's kind of an in-house, in-depth program, but tell us about the every third Sunday drop-in opportunity for people.
Well, we have something called family education here. It's every third Sunday. Why we do that is we're really trying to do a community service, educating the public about what addiction really is. Most people haven't got a clue. They really don't have a real good grip on addiction. So once you start to understand what it really is, somehow that takes some of the shame and secrecy away. It involves a conversation. There's some solution here. And you know, and we can come together even as a community and start addressing these things. So every third Sunday, we've got the coffee on. We don't need to know you're coming.
Awesome. Well, this is definitely a fascinating topic. I want to learn more about your inspiration behind the book, and we're going to do that in a little bit. But first, it's time to learn about some dolls made out of natural material. Here's Meg Cuthbert. Jagged Little Lies is the book, and we're talking about it. I'm here with author Lorelie Rozzano. Tell us about your inspiration behind this book.
My inspiration behind this book is the fact that I got sober, and I think that in itself is sort of a miracle. In that I grew up in an alcoholic family, and I married an alcoholic, and so on, and we know this is a genetic illness. So I wanted to show families and readers and people that change is possible. Hope is really just a phone call away. I mean, you start to recognize and accept that something's not going wrong and quit blaming it on everyone else, and things change very, very quickly. I wanted other people to know that there is so much more beyond the misery of addiction.
You're a great example of the fact that there is hope, there is life past addiction. I know this is the third in your book series. Well, I guess it's the second in the Jagged series.
Yeah.
But you have another book that you're working on.
Yes.
And as much as this is going to help families relate, there's a really important part of families, the children.
Yeah. So what we need to do too is let's focus on our little people. They really are the victims of all of this. Little kids growing up in addiction don't have a voice, and they don't feel they matter, and they're invisible. And when kids don't have a voice, they have behaviors. So those are the kids on the school ground that might be the bully or the quiet ones or the ones getting straight A's. So I've written a book called Gracie's Secret, and it's for the children in families of addiction to understand that, they are important, they do have a voice, and they do matter. And that's going to be available this summer. It's being published through Edgewood, actually, and so that'll be available this summer, and I'm really excited. Let's give our kids a voice.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a wealth of information here today. I can't thank you enough. This book would make a great read for anybody that loves somebody or knows somebody going through addiction. Although it is fictional, it's very relatable. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's time to throw things now to Rianne LaPlante, who introduces us to a nutritional tea. Kelly teaches tea workshops as well as healthy cooking classes. You can find out more information on her Facebook page. You can also find out more information on Lorelie's Facebook page. She also has a blog, jaggedlittleedges.com, and she's going to have an opportunity for you to meet her in person. She's going to be at Harbourfront Library on April 10th from 7 to 8 p.m. If you have any questions about the topic of addiction or today's show, give them a call at Edgewood 250-751-0111. That's it for this edition of Go Island. Thanks for watching.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.